Hey Biz Besties, this is Mia.
And my name is Jen.
And welcome to episode 2 of the Biz Besties podcast,
where we talk about entrepreneurship.
So, like we said in our introduction episode, we wanted to have a whole episode on our business journeys, how we both got started and how it led us to where we are now. So I wanted Jen to go first because she became the entrepreneur first and I followed. So let's go from the beginning.
Okay, so I think I was like almost a junior in college and I was going to East Bay. And I was working at this front desk job and I stumbled upon Kylie Jenner's Instagram.
Right.
It was literally Kylie Jenner's post. Like she posted, I got my lashes done. And it was classic sets back then. It was like no volume. It was just very, very light, but it was like beautiful. So the first thing I said in my head, like, oh my God, I want that. I want to be literally Kylie Jenner at that time, but I was a broke college student. So I went on Google, I checked to see like lash tags, and there was barely any lash tags in the Bay Area at that time. It was like 2015.
This was the very beginning of lashes when it was just entering the industry.
Mm-hmm. And I couldn't find anyone in Hayward. It was all the way in San Jose. And then I checked her website and it was like $300. I am a broke college student at that time. So $300, that is my paycheck in 2 weeks.
No, but literally.
Okay, so I was like, okay, you know what? I can learn myself. So I took a class at that time and I was like, okay, I can do this on myself. And then I learned in that class that you couldn't. So I was a business major in college and I thought, okay, maybe I can do it on people. I didn't have a place. I think at that time I don't even know where I was. I think I was commuting from Tracy.
I do remember you were living at your sorority house. Is that where you first started lashing?
No, so I was living here. This is my parents' house.
We're in Tracy, by the way. She lives in the Bay. I live in Sacramento. We met up in Tracy to do this podcast. Yeah. Okay, continue.
At my parents' house.
Yep.
And I think I was commuting, and then I was like, you know what? I really want to start this, but I didn't have a place because I wasn't going to have people here in Tracy. So I moved into my sorority house, and they had an extra room where I was actually sharing a room with one of my sorority sisters. So I couldn't even do it in my room since I was sharing a room. So I asked all my sisters who were living in the house, like, hey, can I do it on the couch? And before that, I think I was traveling to people.
Yeah.
So I was doing, my new girls in the couch. And it's so crazy because I still have clients from that day.
I love that. 9 years later, loyal clients. Mm-hmm.
And so I started on the couch. I was there for a couple months, and then there was a whole thing with my sorority sisters. I just couldn't just live in a shared room. So I then moved into an apartment where we lived together.
That's
for like 3 months.
We were roomies for 3 months. Love that.
I think it was like 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I was lashing in that room. We lived in Hayward up in the hills for like a good 3 months. I think I was living there for like 6 months.
Wow, I can't believe that was that early in your journey. Okay.
Yes, and then I had to move, and I accumulated a good amount of money from lashing to move into my own condo. And at that time, it was like a 2-bedroom condo. I was starting to date my boyfriend from now, and he has 2 kids. So when we moved into my condo, I was like, I'm going to have a lash room on one room. And then our master room, I'm literally sharing it half the time with my stepkids.
Yep.
So
I remember
in my
that.
condo, 2 kids in my room, my man, and then my lash room. And I was there for like 3 years, just building and building. And I think from that time, from 3 years in the condo and 2 years of like going back and forth and traveling and then couch and then the apartment, I think I was there at the condo at least 3 to 4 years.
So at what point did you start educating? Because I remember you were teaching at that condo.
Yes. So I started educating in that condo, and I think after a year that was moved in. So I think
probably your 3rd year of lashing.
Third year of lashing, I was already like, okay, I could start educating. And I was only educating classics.
Yeah.
And then I actually taught myself volume, and then I did take other courses from other people, but I didn't add volume until like maybe 6 months later.
For those who don't know, she was lashing clients for a couple of years. And what we mean by educating is she was now certifying other people to become lash artists themselves.
Yes.
And that is a whole different bag, a whole different income stream.
I think the first people who were my students were my clients that were very interested in it. And a lot of them have boomed so much. And then, so I was there, saved up. And I was like, wow, like now I can't even fit enough people in this room.
Let's pause. What year did you make your first 6 figures?
I honestly think I made my first 6 figures third year when I started educating. I think that the educating part really grew my business like crazy. But I was also not super on top of my budgeting, my finances, and like numbers. First 2-3 years.
From my point of view, guys, this was the point in time where Jen was making money.
Yeah.
For those who have known us or have known her for that long, it was straight up, we saw her blow up. And she took it and ran with it. And she just kept leveling up more and more. So then what were you saying about how you saved up for your first salon?
Yeah, so honestly, everyone paid me in cash back then. And this was before Venmo. This was before Venmo. Right. So there was Cash App before, and then like Cash App was just not it. So then Venmo came in, and then I was like, okay, maybe I can do Venmo. It was easier to understand finances when you see it like digitally. But cash-wise, like everyone just still loved cash at that time. Right now, I don't think anybody likes cash now.
Yep.
So I saved up. Enough to have an umbrella, like an emergency fund, and then I saved enough to like start the salon. I did not even, it took me 5 years, so crazy. Like I had $50,000 just saved.
Oh, we're giving numbers on this podcast. That is something you can expect from us. We're giving real numbers and all the things, expenses and profits, to be honest.
Yeah, so 50 grand was just emergency. And when I hit that number for emergency, I was like, okay, maybe I can open up the salon. And then I had an extra maybe 20-30K, just like, all right, this is how much I'm going to start now. I didn't take any loans out, but I did open up a business credit card. And again, at that time, I was already recording money because I was using Venmo. So bank statements, the bank saw how much money was coming in, and they accepted me for $25K credit card.
So $75K to start your first salon.
So my money, yeah. Well, 50K I didn't even touch.
Yeah. That was your own savings.
That was just emergency. So maybe I started with 30K my own money and then 25K from the credit card. So 55K. I used 50K overall starting the salon in Newark. And I furnished it. I had 6 booths. It was almost 2,000 square feet. It was beautiful. There were, some hiccups, but we made it through. I signed in October.
On your birthday.
My 25th birthday. And I remember that day just getting the key, and I'm like, I cannot believe they're accepting me right now. And I took out like this big chunk of money to like pay this lady. And so that was October 2019. It took me 3 months to renovate, which was January. My grand opening was January 2020.
And then
20th, January 20th, 2020.
And then what happened in 2020?
And then we closed down.
Because of COVID.
March 2020.
But that did not stop her, y'all.
Yeah, so I started teaching like crazy, right? So I still had to pay rent for the 1 year we were closed. And how was I going to do that? So shifting from in-person classes, like I was taking 8 to 10 students every weekend. Imagine I was like $1,000 per student. Imagine
those numbers. Anyways,
October to January, at least I was doing that. October to March.
Yeah.
Okay. So thankfully, I didn't even touch the emergency fund. So when the world shut down in March, I had to shift to online classes.
Right.
So I was shipping out kits from everywhere, and then doing online Zoom classes, live training. which honestly saved my business. And this is what I mean about adapting to the the present, like the complications in your business. Like you need to adapt to grow.
The world is ever changing.
Yeah.
You can't just get into lashes and think I'm going to lash for the next 30 years. Like it's all about, like she said, adapting, especially when things unforeseen events happen, like COVID. So.
Yeah. So March to, honestly, I think I opened up maybe in like September.
Yeah, when you got the go ahead, you were open.
Yeah, I was open. And I mean, thankfully, I didn't have to touch the emergency fund again, right? So I come back 2021, and I find out I'm pregnant. January 2021, I was like, I'm ready. Like the year is like starting. I'm finally gonna have my first year at the salon, and then I'm 4 months pregnant. What the heck? I'm like, okay, I'm so close. I remember telling Mia and Monica, our other friend,
our other bestie,
and I was like, I think I might need to get lipo.
This girl said, you guys, I'm getting fat. I'm really gonna sign up for liposuction right now. She was 4 months pregnant.
Yeah.
So there's that.
It's so funny because the doctor was like, yeah, you have some up here too, like right here. And I was like, I know. And I had a student that month in January who was pregnant. And we were talking, and like I was only doing one student at a time at that time because after COVID, the classes weren't the same.
Yeah.
So I only get like one student here and there now. So my student was pregnant. She was like, yeah, I didn't know. I just took a test and I was already 6 months.
Oh.
I was like, you know what? I haven't taken a test. I just been thinking I'm gaining weight. Like after 25, your body's like done.
Exactly.
Yeah. So January 28th, I think it was like the ending of January.
Oh, you remember the date? Yeah.
Yeah. And I found out I was pregnant, and I was like, oh my God. So after finding out you're pregnant when COVID was over, and now you have still a business to run, you only got 2 beds. I have 6 booths, 1 is mine, and then 2 were occupied. And then I still had to build a team.
Yeah.
I had to
find renters.
No one was renting at that time, actually.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough in the beauty industry at that time.
Yeah, I didn't have a renter till Demi finished her contract. Demi has been with me for 4 years now.
Oh.
Yeah. So she finished her contract in a year and a half, and she was my first renter. So now I'm getting rent from renter, and then my apprentices, I get commission. And it's different. Renting is weekly rent, and then from commission, I get a percentage, either 40 to 30%, depending on the experience and the contract. So that's just how it is in difference. But at that time, I only had 2 girls and me, and I was pregnant. So I had to still work full time for 2021. And Kylie was due in July. I took 2 weeks before she was due, and then I literally went back to work because 2 weeks was just too long. I actually started my maternity maybe just a couple days before she was due.
And then had Kylie, and 2 weeks later you were back at work.
Yeah, and then 2 weeks later I was back at work.
I mean, it'd be like that when you're a business owner.
Because it was just January 2021. Like just 7 months after being closed down.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, so that whole year I was working. Whole year until, so what is it, 2022? Then I realized that my contract was almost over in 2023.
Right.
2022 was like, okay, this is the year, right?
Because it was a 4-year lease.
Yes, it was a 4-year lease. So 2022 was like, okay, Kylie's 6 months. This is January 2022. Like, we're going to build the salon. And I honestly didn't really think of like the things I've accomplished within 2021 to 2023.
You never think about the things you accomplish.
I know.
Because I'm out here like, damn, Jen has accomplished so much.
I know, because at that time, 2022, I started getting more girls. All of a sudden, the booths started to fill up.
Yeah, and your salon was full.
My salon was full. There was a couple girls that left earlier than, planned out. But a lot of girls actually stayed until 2023, where I was like, okay, who's really staying before relocation? So 2023,
the lease was up.
The lease was up.
You had to figure out what you wanted to do next.
Yeah. At that time, all the booths were filled. All the booths were filled. 6 of us, or maybe 7, because someone was sharing. We had a meeting, and oh my God, I just remember like almost giving up.
Yeah, I mean, share your thought process, because you were going through it during that time.
I think in 2023, because 2022 was building my people, my team, and just making content and, of course, products and teaching, literally working, just like hustling. 2023 was like, okay, what am I going to do with my business? Business will be over in October. Is it going to be completely over? No salon. I'm going to be on my own in like a studio, or like rent a house, buy a house, be at the house.
You considered like solo salons, renting a salon suite.
Yes.
Or you considered even renewing, but that was kind of the thing you did not want to do.
Yeah. I didn't want to renew because, one, a lot of the girls were closer to Hayward, closer to like Oakland area, you know, and then 2, we didn't have traffic like that. I realized also like a lot more homeless people, and I'm traumatized by one event.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary that these are and we are going to have, believe me, we're going to have episodes talking about all the downsides
of having a business. Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, homeless people was like, I'm just traumatized and just triggering for me. So I also had to consider safety as a business owner for my girls. Like, I am a woman-owned business, and the people who work for me are women. So,
and there's some scary people lurking around your salon. So what you got to do? You got to make some choices. You know?
Actually, a tobacco shop opened up next to me in 2022, 2021. So I was like, oh my God, okay. So October comes. No, it was, I think May. May is when I started looking. So I was like, guys, I only have 5 months.
I know.
Like, I need to start looking. I remembered, Mia. I was alone at the salon, and I was laying down on the massage table, the flash bed, and I was literally about to cry because I was like, what am I going to do with my life? Like, I have a whole family to support. I have all these bills. I can't believe I'm freaking surviving right now. I was literally making enough to pay all the bills and just like a little cushion, but no savings. Okay. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I was about to shed a tear where I was like, no, fuck this. I'm going to go on Google and just look at empty spaces. And lo and behold, was a space that where I am now. I said Hayward. And then I was like, okay, let me try Fremont. And I was like, okay, that's too far. And then I remember in the back of my head, my mother-in-law told me one time when we moved into my in-laws. I moved into my in-laws' house. I didn't even say that. I moved into my in-laws' house before I found out I was pregnant. So if I knew I was pregnant, I don't know. You know, I feel like God does these things. So I moved in, and then I found out I was pregnant.
It worked out.
Wait.
Yeah.
So I remember her telling me, check out the plaza next to our neighborhood.
A mile away from their house.
Like 2 minutes. I was like, no, it's too ghetto. But during COVID, Rite Aid closed in that plaza. So it slowed down, you know? And I was like, you know what? Let me go check it out. I went on Google. I put Fairway Plaza, and it had 2 open spots.
Right.
It was a karate place and a Metro PCS. And I was like, okay, this Metro PCS is literally half the space that I have.
Half the rent.
More traffic, down the street from where I live. Like, it
was perfect.
This was the sign.
It was the sign you needed.
Then I contacted the landlord, the manager. They took like maybe a week for me to reply because I was blowing them up, because I was like, I need this place. If this place empty, there's not just one person looking at it, you know? And so I was really diligent, and I went for it, saw the place by myself. Actually, I brought one of my friends. I saw the place. I saw potential. And I was like, I'm going to get it. And I worked with my real estate agent. She helped me talk to them and everything. And honestly, you guys should always have an agent help you. Don't go blind. And yeah, I got the keys August 27, 28.
Your second brick and mortar location.
Second.
We want to have a whole episode on brick and mortar and what it's like starting a salon. Not just a salon, like I said, there's a whole bunch of other businesses, but just starting a physical location, a storefront, because Jen has all the expertise on that.
All the tea.
Yeah.
All the tea.
What you got to sign, much you got to pay for, all the things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you looking at in contracts and everything. Mm-hmm. So I got the keys in August. I signed the lease in August
of 2023.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I didn't start until maybe the first week of September.
Right, because all the renovations.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I had to leave before October 1st.
Yeah, at the old place.
Yeah, so I had to finish renovations in a month. I finished it in three weeks.
Oh yeah, you went crazy with the renovations, yeah.
And I renovated the floors, paint anything that I could easily do fast and get all the girls in. Mm-hmm. And then get everyone moved in and then clean up the old salon. Mm-hmm. At a certain point, patch up the wall, paint. Like moving a salon twice as big as the new salon that you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of my stuff is actually here at my parents' house. This is my storage house. And I had to stay minimal. Yeah. I had to just bring the stuff I need. All the girls actually moved in mm-hmm. with me. I lost a couple after the move-in, but
that's just normal business.
Yeah, it's normal. It's a lot. It happens. But mm-hmm. the girls who are with me now is such a strong group. Mm-hmm. And the vibes, it's like everyone wants to be there. So I think everything happens for a reason. And that's where I am right now. I have built my team. I'm good with the team. Mm-hmm. I'm now just getting back to, and I'm also rebranded.
Yeah.
I changed my logo. Now it's like big. So I'm rebranding. I want to go into digital products a lot more. And then I also want to retire soon. That's where I'm at right now.
And that's something we always talk about, retiring. Because what you used to think retiring was 65 years old. Now you get paid the weekly or monthly, whatever it's called, from mm-hmm. the state or your 401k. But we realized what retiring means to us is building enough investments, enough passive income to continue to pay you and to not have to physically work anymore. Mm-hmm. We do a lot of physical work right now. Yeah. We do a lot of hustling. Hustling is physically sitting down and doing the work, whether that's your 9 to 5, whether that's something like lashes or another mm-hmm. business. We want to slowly transition to have other things pay us now so that we can retire early. My goal's 40. Jen says she wants to retire next year.
Yeah.
I think she could do it.
I think I'm retiring behind the chair.
That's what we mean by retiring.
Yeah.
We want to retire from the physicality so we have more time for family, so we have more time for other goals while still getting paid.
Yeah, I think
that's the goal.
I think retirement for me is like I still want to lash for fun.
Yes.
For a passion.
I know what you mean.
Right now,
I'm only lashing, to pay the bills.
Yeah, I'm mm-hmm. lashing to pay the bills. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's not a sustainable business because a business should be paying you without breaking your back, honestly. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
So, Mia, tell us your story. I didn't know mine was really long.
Because you have a lot to share.
That's crazy. And we kind of like just bullet points it.
That's barely scratching the surface, but it was very insightful. Okay, so for me, this was back when Jen was at that condo mm-hmm. with Ryan, and she just started educating. So like I said, I went to Sacramento to go to Sac State. When I graduated from Sac State, I went to law school for 2 years. So that whole time, I just had this mindset of I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a lawyer. Actually got to law school, and I was going through this whole thing.
You were dancing more than law school.
I was. I'm a dancer, by the way. There's just a whole self-learning discovery process I was going through. Mm-hmm. I totally learned that entrepreneurship is my way. I love the legal field, but the actual job of lawyer, because at that time I was working at law firms. I was working with lawyers. I saw their day-to-day. And I didn't want that. And like I said, right after I quit law school, I hit up Jen. I said, girl, certify me. And she did. And so
yeah, I was like, just pay for the products, just mm-hmm. take my class.
So I've been lashing for 6 years now. So 6 years ago, I started to build my business in Sacramento. And mind you, I was working 9 to 5. So like we said, Jen has the experience of going full force in your business. I myself have goals for my 9 to 5 life as well. So I was working a 9 to 5 and I started lashing as a side hustle. So only the evenings. When I started, I was probably taking one a day.
Yeah.
And Jen was teaching me how to post once a day. They say, no one says how hard it is to post once a day.
Now you have to do it 3 times a day.
Girl. See,
3 times.
This is the girl to go to if you need help with how to market, how to be consistent with your marketing. Because that was all the stuff she was teaching me in the beginning. I'm like, oh, post once a day. Seems easy enough. No. So what's
you
great?
You posted and ghosted.
Oh, yeah. I'll post like once a day for 7 days. And then I wouldn't post for like 3 months.
Yeah. That's
so
funny.
Anyways, but regardless, I really, with Jen's help, I really, really was able to build my clientele, make more money week after week. And actually for the last 2 years, I was doing lashes only. I got to a point where I grew my business so much that it replaced my 9 to 5 income. Love that. And I was like, I'm so sick of like my job. At that time, I hated my job.
You were also traveling a lot.
Yeah.
And then your mom was like, how are you traveling so much? And I remember you texting us like, guys, I haven't told my parents.
Yeah, because my mother tracks me and she sees where I'm at all times. Like, this doesn't add up. I totally quit my job at that time. And that's what's great. Like, it was cool that lashing provided me income to sustain my lifestyle, even though I quit my 9 to 5. Like, wow, that's the goal. But recently I got engaged. Me and my fiance were getting married this year, October 2024. And that was when I was like, yo, lashing only is great. My bills are getting paid. Love that. But I need more. Because back then, when I was working 9 to 5 and side hustling, that's 2 incomes. Then I dropped to only 1 income back, like I said, for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So I got a job again recently. But like I said, I have my own goals for my 9 to 5 life, and I have a plan. We can dive into that later. And like I said, that's to help pay for the wedding. That's to also help pay for my financial personal goals, because I have a lot of them. And to be honest, being back to two income sources again, but not just that, they're making like the same amount of money and it feels like double. I don't know. Love that. But yeah, that's basically my journey, and we're going to dive so much more into marketing, how to actually build your business, because when Jen was talking about her beginning, I would say she blew up around the 1 year, 2 year mark.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anyone's heard this before, but there's this statistic of everyone gives up on their business like before the 2 year mark. So I just want to dive more into what blowing up even means, because Jen blew up and I blew up at a point. Like, there is that point, if you are consistent enough in your business, blowing up is possible. It all it takes is consistency. All it takes is marketing. We can't get certified in lashes and never post and be like, how come I don't have clients?
Yeah.
Like, first of all, it takes you as as someone who scrolls, it takes you 10 times to see one product to even consider, oh, I've seen this a lot. Maybe I should buy their product. Or I've seen this lash girl a lot. Maybe I should get lashes. Like, if that's a statistic. So if it takes someone 10 times to even consider booking with you, you better be posting 20, 30 times.
I've actually had people come to me because they're like, I've seen you on Instagram. I saw your page on my Explore page.
You inspire me.
Yeah.
I love your work.
Like, people follow you from my page. Like, we have mutual friends. So stuff like that is very, very important. And it's all because of social media marketing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, we're going to dive way more into that in upcoming episodes. So you got to stay tuned.
And this wraps it up on episode 2 of our background in our businesses.
Yeah, episode 2. All right. Follow us on our YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, Biz Besties Pod. And for our personal business pages, check the details below. Bye.